Hey everyone, I'm Allison. Welcome back to Bookcase Banner. I am so excited. We're going to talk about our first book. Well, first half book. I'm halfway through. But I thought it was important to make another video because I wanted to thank the one person out there who watched my first video. I have my first subscriber and I love you. Thank you. So I wanted to celebrate the occasion and just keep on going. I wanted to let you in on my efforts. I'm trying so hard. YouTube. I'm currently in the negative. I'm halfway through a book, but the other day I bought 2 books at a bookstore and I couldn't help it. They were so beautiful. I've got an issue. But I'm still reading. I'm still working on it. Today we are going to be talking about ZODIAC Academy, The Awakening. It's the first in a series of 6 by Caroline Peckham and Suzanne Valenti. Now, according to the internet, these 2 authors are sisters. Also, this book had really good reviews. I am personally reading it because I joined a romance fantasy book club and they suggested it. So I actually had pretty high hopes, especially because our last book wasn't so great. I'll talk about that on another video. However, I'm halfway through and I've already got some thoughts, but we'll talk about it. Now, before I actually get into the book, I wanted to talk a little bit about how I analyze books. I like to look at 3 things. The first being the main themes of the book. The second being the messages or the lessons learned from the book. And the third being the style or how it's written. I'm going to approach it kind of like in this 3-pronged approach. However, because I am only halfway, I know these ideas are not going to be fully developed, and I am really hoping that this book proves me wrong, because right now I would give it a solid 5 out of 10. Now I know that's 50%. It's a so-so. It can win me either way at this point, but it's a failing grade. I want it to redeem itself. Now, giving a synopsis for this book is tough. I don't know where to begin, and I think that is almost its first failure right there. This book has a lot going on for it. So, in a nutshell, there are 2 young women who are twins. They have a rough childhood. They are in and out of the foster care system in Chicago. They're fending for themselves on the streets. We get to them one day and this man out of nowhere appears and he basically kidnaps them with magic. He sprinkles some fairy dust into their faces and they get teleported into a new world. In this new world, they find out that not only can they wield magic, but they're also princesses and heirs to this throne in this realm if they complete boarding school. So they get thrust into boarding school, and at the same time they're getting bullied by basically everyone, especially a group of guys who are the makeshift government in the place of the royalty, because apparently their parents died and they weren't there because they were in the mortal realm. All of it's a lot to handle. So right now they're just trying to deal with school, and so while you have this really Harry Potter-esque feel of magic at a boarding school, you also get some pretty hardcore hazing that's not very Harry Potter-ish. Some of the scenes are a bit harsh, I would say. A lot of strange sort of sexual tension that's going on. It happens very fast. I think although I'm halfway through, I'm less than a week of the lives of the characters, but there's already been a lot going on, and while I know about these things, I also have a bit of a qualm with how they were all presented to me. It was all laid out. All of it. And so when I'm trying to explain it to somebody, I'm already feeling a bit jumbled, but I'm gonna try anyways. So let's talk about themes. Themes definitely being magic. I know I'm new to the fantasy world, so maybe if I'm just saying themes are magic, like that doesn't mean anything. But I would say the theme is kind of split between someone navigating school, bully, time away from home, but also new powers, magic, basically the metaphor for growing up. Number 2, messages. I think this book hit the nail on the head of one thought that one of the characters have, and I'm gonna try to find it actually for you. Here we go. I am Faye, and I need to embrace the darkest part of me if I'm ever going to survive here. Interesting. I like that. Okay, so what is being tempted here is someone not embracing the best part of themselves to be the best version of themselves. It is embracing those darker aspects in order to be more assertive, to be more powerful, to survive. That's fascinating. I don't think I've actually read a book like that in a while, especially not one that's focused more towards young adults and really is trying to be playful with all of that magic. However, the other message behind that comes in a very uncomfortable way. A lot of the characters are really just taking whatever they want. So think about like Twilight, but everyone's a vampire and everyone's trying to be intimidating and too sexy at the same time. I don't know if I'm explaining that right. You'll just have to read the book. Now, the style of writing, I already touched upon it. I think it's definitely geared towards a younger audience. The language is pretty simple, and that simple language is also feeding into simple action where, okay, someone is acting because this thought entered their heads. There's no development going on from that. It's just knee-jerk reactions at this point. I crave for a little bit more complexity. I would like things not to be completely explained to me all at once. All of this magic, all of this world is presented pretty clumsily. There's always just one character who kind of spills the beans, and the main characters, the two girls, are just sort of like, okay, all right, and they deal with it. I personally do not like that. If the characters do not process that, then I do not process that. Now, I understand like fantasy, you have a suspension of disbelief, but in order for that to be realistic, you need to have someone freaking out. These people have lived in Chicago for all of their lives and now they're fairy princesses. How does that work? How are they not blinking at this? So this is a PSA to writers out there. Don't hit your audience over the head with your ideas. You may want to pack in Harry Potter, you may want to pack in Twilight on top of the Harry Potter, and you may want to pack in Avatar: The Last Airbender on top of the Twilight and the Harry Potter. But don't tell me this all at once. Give me little breadcrumbs. Let me figure it out for myself. Guys, maybe the authors want to focus on different aspects of this story, but it's very difficult to get past it. And besides the world, since there are two authors, I'm imagining that each author is describing the perspective of each twin. So the twins are Tori and Darcy. I've noticed slight differences in the way that it's written, maybe not so slight, but I've noticed that I really like one twin and I don't like the other. And it's not completely because of the way that they are acting in the book, it's because of the way that they are written. And although I would almost never back one of the quote weaker characters, I always go for the baddie. But this other character is written in a way where it's a little bit more subtle, and I like her better because that subtlety allows me to imagine myself and her a little bit more. So it really begs the question of what is going to be the main hook. I really have to wonder what I'm still reading for. And if I were a young adult woman, maybe I would be caught into the romantic aspect of it. I'm currently finding the romance in this a bit cringe. I think online they call it bullies to lovers. Is that a genre that's out there and I just never knew? I am so out of touch with the younger people out there. I don't think I knew that was a thing. I think I know which bully it's gonna be, but we can talk about that later. Thank you so much for hanging in there, letting me try to work out some of these feelings. I have book club on this book. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to articulate exactly how I'm feeling on it. I think a lot of people are gonna come in and really like it. Do I have it in me to tear it apart in front of them? Maybe I'll just do it on YouTube. I don't know. Okay, well, I'll talk to you later. Hey, and look how my bruise is developing. If you want to figure out what I did to my face, watch my first video. Anyways, well, I'll talk to you guys later. We'll talk about part 2 later. See ya.